doing, Akhi? Who this is, and where are you calling from?
Greg calling from Vegas. I wanted to talk about this because Shawn Porter came to the gym that I train at, and I got to meet him and whatever. But I have to say I was disappointed because I seen an interview from Fight Hype where he had been like, they said he had been calling out Crawford, and Crawford said he would take the fight, this and that. But in this interview, I don't know if you've seen it, but he tried saying that, like, Terence Crawford was too much of his friend for him to fight. And I don't know if it's maybe that, like, we all know the WBO is basically a top-ranked belt, and maybe certain fighters don't view that as, like, a priority to get. But I thought it was disappointing and just bad for business on Shawn Porter's side to say that wouldn't fight him because they're friends and they're both specialists.
You're talking about, this is the recent interview on Fight Hype, right? That's the one you're referring to? Yeah, I saw the interview. Yeah. He pretty much, like I said, is this friendship again. And I said in the past, if they really that close, Terence would have went to Shawn Porter's wedding. I had a wedding, a year ago, and if you're a friend of mine or you're a close friend of mine, I'm expecting you to show up. If you don't show up, we're no longer cool if you don't have a decent excuse. Nevertheless, Terence already came out on, Max Kellerman on Max on Boxing, and he clarified that he not ducking or dodging any opponent. He said when it comes to Shawn Porter, if they want it, they could get it. But he also added he's disappointed in them because of the fact that when they had a title, they never mentioned his name. But as soon as they coming off a loss to Errol Spence, then they push him for the fight or they show interest of the fight. But when he was calling out all the other champions, saying that he wants belts, he want to fight the champions, Shawn Porter didn't raise his hand. He didn't say, oh, well, we are friends, but we could put our friendship aside to fight for a unification, which would have been huge. So Crawford obviously showed his disappointment there. Like I said before, Shawn Porter is a good fighter. I respect him. I respect his relationship with his dad and how he carry himself. But if we call a spade, I have to rock with Crawford on this one. What's your take?
Well, I mean, my take is this. I don't think it's going to happen based on that statement he gave out. And I don't know if it's because he's scared of him or, like I said, he doesn't value the WBO belt or whatever. But, I mean, I would definitely put my money on Crawford. But I don't know. Like I said, I think it would be a good fight given how well Porter did against Spence. And I would still have Spence over Crawford if they were to fight too.
Yeah, it'd be a hell of a fight.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen just based on, that interview. And then it just seemed like he really wasn't interested.
Yeah.
And I'm not even really sure who he plans on fighting next because
I could tell you that. According to sources, Shawn Porter's next fight will take place on August 22nd on Fox against unbeaten German welterweight Sebastian Formella. I'm sorry if I mispronounced the name. He fighting Formella. Yeah, it's an unknown fighter. And just to inform you, Craig, that, see, when you coming off a loss, according to the WBO, you can't fight for the strap if you coming off a loss. So I knew from day one they weren't going to fight next. I kept telling a lot of people that if they're going to fight, they're not going to fight for the WBO title unless they break the rules again like they did for Lomachenko when he fought Gary Russell. But other than that, I knew they weren't going to fight next because of the fact that Shawn Porter coming off a loss, and the WBO clearly says on the rules that a challenger that's challenging the champion can't be coming off a loss. So I knew it wasn't going to be next. But I think it's a good look for Shawn Porter to stay active till he could get a big name. However, I would love to see him versus even upcomers. I would love to see him test like a guy like Virgil Ortiz or Jaron Ennis or a rematch with Ugas or even Keith Thurman. All these fights are mega fights at the welterweight division.
Yeah, I personally thought Ugas won that fight, but
me too.
I guess the judges thought differently.
Yeah.
But my other thing I was going to bring up, and then I'll let you know, because I know you got a lot of people calling, is you think the zone is going to go broke?
Man, funny you say that. I actually just had a conversation with Dante, and we were talking about Matchroom announcing their boxing return. Obviously, PBC did the same, but they announced it on Showtime, and they have pay-per-view fights and all of the above. And then Matchroom is announcing the fights on YouTube, on their YouTube account. And you will think it'd be on the zone since they keep, charging people, and they don't have events other than the Virgil Ortiz fight versus Samuel, right? Now, the crazy part about it, the zone eventually they're going to go out of business if this continues, because they seem to be more damaged than we previously assumed. So the fact that, they didn't have fights on for like a couple months, and the fact that they are a streaming network, so there is no revenue coming in other than fights thus live. So due to that, most of their content is already on YouTube, on the zone, on their YouTube account. So if you subscribe to the app, why would you subscribe unless there's live events, which they clearly don't have live events yet? I mean, let them tell it. Canelo's going to fight next on their page, but when? I mean, Mike Tyson, he knocked out Canelo. Mike Tyson.
I heard his lawyer said he wasn't going to because he didn't want to take a pay cut.
Canelo don't want to take a pay cut?
Yeah. It was on ESPN.
There were reports.
His lawyer said that he wasn't happy with the money he was offered for the September fight and wasn't going to take it.
Wow, that's news. See, previously somebody reported that Canelo was going to take a pay cut, but apparently he changed his mind if he wasn't going to get a tomato can. Like I said before, if he fights Jason, whoever that guy is, I mean, Jason, if they offer him $20 million, let's say he takes a pay cut against Jason, the zone's still losing money. And Canelo, he haven't fought on the Mexican Independent Day for I don't know how long on the Mexican holiday, because remember when he told Floyd Mayweather that I'm going to take the Mexican dates from you, and then he ended up backtracking his comments after Floyd Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao, and he had to move his date. And now Mike Tyson is taking Canelo Alvarez's date yet again. He knocked out Canelo Alvarez on his own date yet again, because September he's supposed to be fighting, and we got Mike Tyson versus John Jones, and versus Roy Jones, and I know Canelo Alvarez is not gonna go against that. So he either gonna fight later on September or even November, but he definitely is not gonna compete with Mike Tyson. And if he is, the only way he have to fight a guy like Andre or Charlo, which that's something he won't do. We already know that. So if it's not an interesting fight, where it's a 50-50 fight, where there's a lot of question marks next to the fight, people is not gonna pay to watch it. If they know the outcome already, they will be more intrigued in a Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones spectacle than a Canelo fight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, unless he fights Demetrius Andre or Charlo or anybody that's in their prime, that's at middle, super, or light heavyweight, I have no interest in watching it personally. And I usually watch every fight, but if he's just going to fight Uber drivers and stuff, I'm good.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Hey, me and you on the same page on that one. Always great talking to you.
Hold it, you're not that pretty. I'm a bad man. Wait. I shook up the wall. I got the wall. I bear witness, there's only one God, Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. That's what I said, Larry, on the Bungle fight. Thanking you.
Call me the problem, but you could call me the can man, cause anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans, Mexicans, anybody can get it.